Good morning to you, and I'm glad you could join us. It happens every weekday, and today we raise the issue of power and the national grid collapse. The Minister of Power, Aliyu Abubakar, on the 8th of April, disclosed that vandals were responsible for the disruption of the transmission tower between Akwa Ibom and Cross River states, a development that led to the collapse of the country's electricity grid twice within 3 hours. The grid, which has collapsed about 6 times this year, collapsed at about 6:30 p.m. on Friday and crashed again at about 8:30 p.m. Abubakar, in a statement signed by an aide, Issa Sanusi, confirmed that the grid collapse caused power outages in many parts of the country. In shedding more light on the development, the power minister said that further to their earlier press release, they wish to notify the general public that the immediate cause of the national blackout system collapse was an act of vandalism on a transmission tower on the Udukbane Ikorekbene 330 kV double circuit transmission, thus resulting in a sudden loss of about 400 metric watts of generation. This consequently led to a cascade of plants shut down across the country. While a detailed investigation into the immediate and remote causes of the recurring grid failure is currently going on by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and system operator, the operator of the national grid, the process of restoring supply is ongoing, with some sections of the national grid already energized and the supply restored to consumers. The national grid, which has backed up over 130 times since 2013, causing the collapse of a power supply each time it occurs, coming with a huge economic loss for consumers, especially commercial entities, is a clear indication that Nigerians need a permanent solution to the menace of grid collapse in the country. It is a universally accepted given that no meaningful progress can occur until the issue of power is addressed and resolved. Why power has remained a thorny, unsolvable puzzle is a puzzle in itself. Is it that those in government are unaware of the significance and relevance of power? Are they unaware of the industries it could build and the employment opportunities it could generate? One also can't help but wonder if the issue of power was rocket science or is the reinventing of the wheel. Power remains at the center of all meaningful enterprise, but one wonders whether there is any permanent solution in sight. I am Uche Gabriel. Welcome to Viewpoint, the conversation. Joining me all the way from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is an energy expert, Mr. Idika Okechukwu. Good to have you. Joining me in the building, we have the communication head at EEDC, Mekeze. Good to have you.
Thank you, Uche. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me on the program today. I will start this way. I guess you own a car, or you drive a car, or you have a car, or you've seen someone that drives a car. So factors that makes you keep driving your car is not just about the fuel, because you may have a fuel in your car, and then there is oil in the engine system, and the car may not be able to move.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the tires are deflected. Or maybe the tires are also up. And then maybe the shocks and so many other things may not also be working. And so in Nigeria, the last time we heard about the collapse, they told us it was the low gas supply. And then the next time you will hear about the vandals. Is it that we don't have a proper security network? But come to the right thinking, these plans that we have today, when were they built? They were built even far before I was born. Of course, I am still of a younger age. And then but then you will know that this is something of the ages. The major issue affecting our lives are first the ineffective governance. That's number one. And number two, the regulatory framework of the NERC is also an issue. And so, since there is this lack of proper understanding of the basic electricity market structure, this leads to all the reason why we've not been able to get it right. Take for instance, there was a time it was published, I think in 2018, about the major electricity policies that Nigeria needs to put right. And this was one of the things that one of the frontliners that the government put in place when they started telling us about attracting investment into the energy sector. Today, they have conducted a power asset inventory and audit. Nothing has happened. We have the long liability that is standing. Nothing has happened. So, if your vehicle must run, you must have all these things put in place and you must maintain them. So, the reason why we have done this far without being able to fix it is because we have not taken ownership and we don't understand it, and the structure of the network is overwhelming. Even at this point, we even need to privatize the TCN. The TCN requires the privatization. But then somebody will also ask, the one that is privatized on the discourse, are they surviving it? But it's because we have not actually done a proper structure. Also, we don't do maintenance. Today you hear about the scheduled maintenance. They just pick one part and they deal with it. How many plants are working? So I would want to say generally that it's because we've not taken ownership. There is no efficient governance in the transmission network, and our regulatory framework is also not efficient.
You've raised a number of issues, and one of them is privatization. We saw privatization in the telecom sector, and history is it is history. All the things that people were experiencing is history. One wonders, why didn't that same success happen in the power sector? Is it because the power sector is too gigantic, or we didn't do proper privatization?
Yes, I will also say that we didn't do proper privatization. I will say that as remember, I've mentioned something about lack of understanding of the basic electricity market structure. And so these are part of the things that they consider in the privatization. When you are doing the privatization, let's take sentiments away. The people that are handling these things, did we put it in the hands of the right people? Number two, the privatization, the way it is done, if it is for me, if you have privatized it statewide, example, if you have privatized it statewide, and somebody is coming in as a governor, and then he knows that this power is required for the state and he cannot do it, that means there's a blackout in that state. You see some level of competition also coming in. I don't think the privatization was done properly. And we can name a number of things and reasons why it wasn't done well.
Go ahead.
Because example, look at you are giving somebody you tell somebody this is a farm or a land for you to farm, and you're not giving him the right tools. Most of the people that have taken up those things are saying also that they were not given the right equipment. But then, even if you're not given the right equipment, why are you not attracting investors? So that investors can help and bring it up.
Okay, now, do you think that decentralizing power, what some people will call unbundling, do you think is a step in the right direction? Do you think that states handling their power, just like, people feel that the federal government has centralized a lot of things and is causing problem. Do you think that if states or regions start managing their power issues, it will be better solved?
Yes, I think so. But of course, for you to do that also, there should be a blueprint of what is to be done and what is expected, requirements and all that. That I think is the best. Uche, let me ask you this. If you are given a leadership role, will you not want to make that thing work?
Yeah, I will try.
So for you to make that thing work means that for a state, a governor who is coming to make a promise, if you have a total blackout, of course, in your office, you will not have the power. Of course, businesses will not grow. Your IGRO will not grow. So when they see that these things are now tied to them, the only challenge you may be looking at is there are states or there are regions that may not have all it takes. But even in Enugu, I can tell you, in Enugu can still boost their power from the coal. We also have the Uche River there and so many other things that could be used to boost up the power. I'm not just talking about Enugu. Even when you go to other areas where we know that, that's why we started talking about the embedded, what do you call it again? Or the embedded supply system. That today you can see the smaller generating plants coming up, trying to have an independent power system to help in building and in stabilizing the power. But the poor governors have not allowed them to come up.
All right. Let me ask you one more question before I let you go. If you were appointed Minister of Power today, what are you going to do to change the system, and how?
Well, first thing I have to do is to plan for a renewable energy integration. I have to look out for a renewable energy integration. I have to flush off. That's number one. That's number two. I have to attract investment. Find a way to attract investment, because there's no way you rub my back and I'll also not rub your back. And the next thing is to look at the ones that is existing. How do we maintain them and bring them all up? Enforcement of the policy is defaulter. Just like they are talking about the vandalism. We have not even enforced any penalty. We enforce penalties and we declare it and we make sure that it goes down even to the value chain. People don't make remittances the way it should be. Somebody the other day was telling me that power is our national cake. Just go and chop your own, go. And that was the person's language. And because they have not enforced the right penalties to all these lines, I will first of all ensure that the renewable energy integration is done, and that will help to boost the revenue collection even among the discos. I'll ensure that investment is done also, and find a way to solve the barriers in the gas to power value chain. So these are the main points I would use if such opportunity is given to me. And of course, there is no way that will be done without engaging proper experts in all those related fields around me to deliver that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Idika Okechukwu. Thank you for joining us from FCT.
Thank you so much.